Ready? Thank you so much for coming. It is truly exhilarating for us to have finally come to this moment where we inaugurate our little Patchogue Mikvah. Though we hadn't paid attention to this when we set the date for this event, I found it particularly interesting that just yesterday we read in the Parsha, the Torah portion, about laws pertaining to purity and the purification process through mikvah. To begin with, I would like to call upon a dear friend to say a few words. Rachel. Avgi. Mrs. Rachel Avgi. I was just looking for her.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hello everybody, welcome. I'm honored and blessed to be here today, to stand here in front of everybody and let you hear my experience with the mikveh. 24 years ago, I got married with my husband, Rafi, who isn't here, he's at work. And I went to the mikveh in Israel because I had to, it was the thing to do, it's the Jewish thing to do, and I hadn't ever been since to a mikveh. And we came to America 20 years later and had a business in Medford. And one day the rabbi came to our store and asked us to come to shul to participate. And we said yes, 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 over and over again for weeks and months, I think, maybe years. And one day we spoke and we said, okay, let's go to shul. And I think it was right before Passover, if I'm not mistaken. Hanukkah. And we came to shul, the whole family, and it was like coming home. We hadn't experienced a Jewish family close to us because we were always working and we were pretty much alone. So we came for Hanukkah, lit the candles, and ever since then we've been coming to shul, participating, having an extended family. And then, after a while, Chaya asked me about the mikveh, and would I come to the mikveh here, after hearing that it was a dream and the rabbi wanted to build a mikveh. And in the beginning it was just a dream because there were so few people part of the community. And as more people came to the community, and I'm sure Rabbi went out and got them one by one, that dream became a reality. Exactly. And here we are today, and I'm so proud to stand here and be a part of the mikveh and Chaya. When I come to the mikveh, the way you make me feel, the way I feel, the whole preparation, getting out of the house, you make it happen for me. And I wouldn't have done it without you, so thank you.
When the Oprah Winfrey Show wanted to understand the Jewish home and the Jewish woman, they called upon the expertise of Mrs. Chaya Teldin. Hailed by the New York Times as a hot ticket amongst Jewish speakers, Chaya is a sought-after communicator, teacher, mother, and proud bubby. Chaya hails from Detroit, Michigan. Since graduating from Beis Rivka Teacher Seminary in Brooklyn, New York, she has been educating both young and old nonstop. In 1977, Chaya and her husband, Rabbi Tuvia Teldin, co-founded Chabad Lubavitch of Long Island, which now has 38 centers and 50 rabbi and rebbitzins around the island. Chaya has lectured to audiences in more than 25 states and around the world in places such as Argentina, Australia, England, Ireland, Israel, and South Africa, where her humor and warmth mixed with Jewish wisdom of the ages leaves an indelible impression on all who hear her. It is my privilege and honor to introduce my colleague and mentor, Mrs. Rebbitzin Chaya.
Thank you. Hello. I have a very loud voice. You could ask my children. They will tell you. Hello. Is that better? Okay. First of all, thank you for coming. Very, very nice. I always say don't compete with food because you lose. So I'm going to speak quickly so that we can get on with the program, meaning you will be able to see this breathtaking mikvah. We'll have a tour and have something to eat. So again, thank you very much for coming. In speaking, I don't usually speak with notes. Thank goodness I've been doing it a very, very long time, and I pretty much have what I want to say. So as I'm sitting here thinking what I had prepared and watching the video, it's like, okay, you can't say that because they just said it. Okay, can't say that because the rabbi just, whoops. So reshuffling constantly. So I might just put my notes aside and really, really speak from the heart. 3,330 years and how many days? 21 days ago, to be exact. The Jewish people left Egypt. 3,330 years and 22 days. We're counting, and we're in the desert on our way to Mount Sinai. And what happens when we come to Mount Sinai? Why Mount Sinai? So the commentaries say that there was a whole range of mountains, big ones, wide ones, tall ones. And God chose Mount Sinai, which is the smallest of that mountain range. So the commentaries ask, why did you do that? Why not, if you want to teach about grandeur, make it on the highest mountain, make it on the most beautiful mountain? But the commentaries say we're supposed to learn that humility is an awesome character trait. So God made it on a mountain, but a humble mountain, a small mountain. Twice it was referred to the small mikvah here in Patchogue. But I want to protest. I want to say it's a humble, but it's a mountain. And let no one be mistaken, I have seen many, many mikvahs. I'm privileged to visit and to help inaugurate mikvahs really around the world. I want to say this mikvah could be featured in Better Homes and Mikvahs. Just saying, it could be right up there. It is breathtaking, and for those who have not seen it yet, just wait until you see this mikvah. It is called the ultimate feminine experience. So I could speak about mikvah, but much has been said already. There are 2 points that I want to make sure didn't slip past you. If there's a community that has a synagogue and one Torah scroll, only one, and they lack the finances to build a mikvah, you can sell the Torah scroll. You can sell the synagogue itself in order to have the funds to build a mikvah. That is how fundamental a mikvah is to Jewish life. The number 40 was mentioned also. Remember that story about Noah and 40 days and 40 nights? So when God looked around the world and he said, you know, this really is a mess. I think I need to reboot. He's going to immerse the entire world in a mikvah. Thus the number 40 is now correlated to our number 40 when we use that measurement of water to immerse in a mikvah. I don't want to speak about the details of the mikvah, but rather a general overview. What is it God's business about relationships? Okay, we understand maybe God is in the synagogue. Maybe God is in my kitchen and he tells us this you can eat, this you can't eat. But really, is it God's business to be in my bedroom? Does God have an opinion about relationships, about marriage? Where does the immersion, where does the sanctity, where does God's opinion come in? So, I'm going to use this as a little example. A number of years ago, I had the privilege or the daunting task of taking 25 girls, 20 girls to Russia and Ukraine with 5 counselors and a colleague of mine. 3 weeks in Russia and Ukraine. It was a stretch, and I'm a go-getter. I'm not a gal who needs her comforts, but it was a stretch, just saying. The last day we were in Ukraine at an outdoor market, and who's been there? This is what tourists buy in Ukraine and Russia. So bought this. Actually, they had on the table all the Israeli prime ministers, like I didn't really need that, all the American presidents, like no, and then I see Muammar Gaddafi on one of the I'm like, excuse me, sir, I know 10 words in Russian. I said, excuse me, sir? So he said, oh, terrorists, and he proceeds to open them. There's the Schmendrick from Germany, one by one. It's like, I wanted to buy it to get it out of the store, but what am I going to do, put it on my mantelpiece? It's really not nice. You know, so I bought the Para version, okay? This is really the neutral version. But I learned a very fundamental, I think, life lesson from this. I can view my life from the outside in, right? So is this the real me? So the truth is, before you get dressed to go out, the jewelry, the makeup, in my case, the head, and if you didn't get that, you'll ask the lady next to you, okay, is on the dresser. So this can't be the real me. So I take that layer off and I say, so really, what's the real me? So maybe the real me are my sterling character traits. Maybe it's my patience. Ask my children, it is not my patience. Okay? So we take off that layer. We keep peeling and peeling the layers until we get to almost the core of the matter. Maybe it's my intellect, and I could say, you know, when Einstein and a baby are sleeping, the playing field is kind of level. So this can't be the real me. So what is the real me? The truth is, my grandchildren took the rest of the layers, but when you get down to the essence, when you get down to the core of the matter, when you get to the soul of the matter, in that we're the same. So I have a choice. I can approach my life from the outside in, and then what do? I didn't get the car, the job, the parking spot, the promotion, and I could say, excuse me, you must have heard wrong, God. Hello? There's a lot of, excuse me, there's a lot of disappointment, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of anger, sometimes resentment. But what if I approach my life from the inside out? What if I approach my life from the soul's perspective, from the vantage point of this inside? And then I say, oh, is that you, God? I wasn't supposed to get the promotion? Oh, I didn't get the job? I got the guy, but not, oh. For me, it works in that it takes the sting out, because from the soul's perspective, everything is just fine. Exactly as it's supposed to be. God doesn't make mistakes. So God made man and woman. He could have made a unisex blob. He didn't. So he says, you know what, guys? I want to help you enhance your relationship. And marriage, which is tough on a good day, let's see how we can help two souls meeting together. Two souls. Because in Judaism, Torah, marriage is not 1 + 1 = 2, but marriage is rather half plus half equals 1. That's the soulmate. Difficulties, frustrations, disagreements, absolutely. But we're working together for a common cause. So here comes God and says, I have a great idea. You want to know how to enhance a relationship? I'm going to share with you something called mikvah. Mikvah is going to bring sanctity and holiness to your relationship. You know what holiness means? Holy means set aside. Behind this ark, in this ark, we have our most precious possession. We have a Torah scroll that is rolled up, wrapped, tied with a belt, covered in an ark with a curtain and a door. And it's taken out on occasion. Torah says that's great for relationships. There's no boringness, there's no getting used to, there's no habit, there's no, I have a headache tonight. Torah says, just like your fine china, I don't know, maybe in Patchogue you eat on fine china all the time. I don't know, my house you don't. Maybe I'll come to your house. Could be. But we take out our fine china on Shabbat, on holidays, when there's fancy company, on occasion. And the Torah says, relationships also on occasion. What has water got to do with a relationship? Water sanctifies. Water makes holy. Anybody been on a cemetery? What do we do after we leave a cemetery? We wash our hands. What's the connection between washing your hands and what's the connection? There's no, you didn't touch anything, you didn't get your hands dirty.
To avoid death.
It's what?
To avoid death.
So
like
water could
ani.
wash that away?
Mora ani.
So in a sense, water, just like we can't live without, water can purify only because God said so. So what's the connection between water and a marriage? In a monthly cycle, when a woman has her monthly cycle, what happened there? It means there was an egg, there was a chance for fruition, and it did not happen. The Torah refers to this as a whisper of death. The Torah says, you know what? Let's wash that away. In the transition from Europe to America, I believe mikveh got a bad rap. How so? Anybody here have their grandmother's candlesticks? A grandfather's Kiddush cup?
Yes.
A menorah? A prayer book? When our family came from Europe to America, we brought artifacts with. Nobody has a visual of a mikveh. Today, using technology, you can go on mikveh.org, of course, and find a mikveh anywhere in the world. You're going to be in Aruba, should only happen, right? You're going to be in wherever you, check it out. There's a mikveh, there's an address, there's the amount, the time, the fee, and it is possible for couples to fulfill this commandment anywhere in the world. A few years ago in Israel, there was a funeral. An elderly couple had never had children. They had emigrated from Russia, and they were barely able to pull together a minyan of 10 men to participate in the burial of this elderly gentleman. It was overheard. The wife of the deceased stood by the coffin and said to him, audible enough for those around to hear, Yankel, when you go to the heavenly throne, when you go to heavenly courts, tell them that because there was no mikveh while we were hiding in the forest during the war, during our childbearing years, it is because of that that we never had children, for no other reason. Couples have separated under the most trying circumstances in order to preserve the holiness and the sanctity of the mitzvah of mikvah. Women today are finding their voice. Have you read the newspaper lately? Have you listened to the news? Women are in the news. What's going on? 100 years ago, we didn't have a voice. 100 years ago, we first got the right, the privilege to vote. So we can look at life two ways. And it was referred to here, when the heavenly waters, when the upper waters and the lower waters meet. What is that Kabbalistically? It means that when heaven and earth are no longer separate, great things take place. Just parenthetically, how old was Moses? If you know how old Moses was at the giving of the Torah, you get an extra rugula. Who knows? Come on.
40.
Moses was 80, close. He lived 3 periods of 40, 40, 40. So Moses was 80. And 80 years old, we should all live till 120. 80 years old, look at the scripture, look at the text, and it says that Moses went up the mountain and God came down the mountain. God came down. Let me ask you something. At 80 years old, God couldn't have met Moses at the bottom of the mountain? Like, seriously, you made him schlep up? God, what's going on here? Because heaven had to come down to meet earth. Moses elevated earth, and God brought the heavens down. The mikvah experience is exactly that, that interaction where heaven meets earth. Young brides, women who've reached menopause, go once. The feminine aspect, here's a little Kabbalah. The feminine, as the world perfects itself, we are taught that are you ready? The feminine aspect of godliness becomes dominant. The feminine aspect of God has to have male and female, otherwise he'd be limited. The feminine aspect, what's the feminine aspect of God? Nurturing, healing, producing, polishing. That's the feminine side of God. Women have voice today because cosmically and spiritually, we're coming to an age where everything is going to be good. Everything is going to be in its place. So it's not coincidental, as Chaim mentioned, that yesterday in the Torah portion we spoke about the healing and the process of sanctifying, of making holy an act of childbirth, for example, using purifying waters, healing waters. And it is a prerogative and a privilege of every woman. It is a mitzvah that belongs to all of us. So, although it's not BYOT, you don't have to bring your own towel because there's luscious towels over here. I challenge every woman to experience the well springs, the purifying waters that are right here in Patchogue. It is the 6th Chabad Mikvah on the island. Coram, Dix Hills, the Hamptons, Merrick, Port Washington all have mikvahs, and Patchogue now is another jewel in the crown. There are 3 more mikvahs in the works in Great Neck, Roslyn, and Stony Brook. So there's no excuse anymore. I don't have to travel, I don't have to schlep, it's not too far, it's not cold. You know, in Russia, we know women who literally broke the ice in order to be able to immerse in the mikvah. Take the opportunity, experience the ultimate feminine mitzvah. It will enhance, it will bring God into a relationship. 2 years ago, I'll just end with this. There was a woman in my community that was deathly afraid of water. Deathly afraid. She has a built-in pool. She's never gone underwater. In the shower, she backs in, she backs out because she will not put her face underwater. And for 20 years, I'm asking her to go to the mikvah. You see how persuasive I am. 20 years. And she always said, no, I can't. I am so afraid. 2 years ago, I went over to her house on a Friday, and I sat down in her kitchen. She said, what's wrong? Very Jewish. I said, nothing's wrong. She says, what's wrong? Why are you here? I said, listen, 20 years I'm asking you to go to the mikvah. It's time to say yes. She'd been married 50 years. She said, but I'm so afraid. So I said, you know what? I'll go with you. I picked her up one evening after we studied what it entails. I picked her up, went to the mikvah in Dix Hills, gorgeous, brand new. She prepared, she went into the mikvah. I went in fully clothed into the mikvah with her. I said, however long it takes, I'm with you. No rush, I'm gonna hold your hand, and whenever you're ready, you're gonna take a deep breath, you're gonna go into water. First time in her life, she was in her 70s. She was able to immerse. She came up, I said, the good news and the gooder news. The good news is you put your face underwater for the first time. The other news is you didn't go all the way under. So we're gonna do it again. Yay! She hesitated for a moment. I said, we could do this. Holding her hand, I said, when you're ready, you go under. I'm gonna gently push just for a second so you go under. She was able to do that. This friend walks with canes. I said, now I wanna tell you something.